Good morning. My name's Dan. I'm one of the pastors here. It's so great to have both of our congregations with us this morning. I know it's going to be a bit cosy. It'll keep us all warm, and we'll bear with it. There's cronuts at the end, so if it does get a bit uncomfortable, think, "Oh, that cronut. They're good. They're good." So, we don't normally schedule a Vision Sunday midway through the year. Our Vision Sunday normally coincides with our financial year. It's normally in May. It will still be in May this year. Last May, we shared about tending the field. We'll give you some reminders of what we believe God has been leading us into this year. And often with God, He prompts us in our calling, then He prompts us in our planning into that calling, and then He gives us the provision. And it's easy to forget that actually He's there along the way. He goes before us, He's there with us, and His impact goes behind us. And this is what our vision is all about, really. It's following Him. And so a lot of you may have got a video update from Vicky and I before Christmas. We really felt that within that vision, He's still leading us towards these things, but actually it's a moment where He's getting more specific about what that calling for us as a church is. And those plans are starting to feel like they're coming together, although there's still lots to work out together. And those words that were shared today, I think, are quite relevant in what I'm going to say as well. I might come back to that later. So why are we doing this? Why are we interrupting our Every Story Whispers His Name series, which, by the way, I'm loving. I think it's really great. Why are we interrupting that for another Vision Sunday? Why have we got us all together? Well, I want to remind us of some of the things that God has led us into, but also between now and May and onwards, we want to be praying into how we join God in preparing us for the next season. It feels like quite a moment at the moment. This year feels like quite a moment for not only the church as a whole, the global church, but also for all of humanity at the moment. There's so much going on, and sometimes, I don't know about you, sometimes I look at it and I think, what on earth is going on? What on earth could I do within all of this? And then I have days where I just see what God is doing and His promptings of new life. And we have that tension day by day where we're walking in a broken world, but we're also seeing the grace of God. And that's really why we've put this Vision Sunday in, because within that, we believe that God's prompting us into something new. Not something completely new. He's building on what's come before, but actually He's preparing us for what's coming next. I spoke about the Quiet Revival back in May. You may have heard it. It's been around quite a lot, that God is actually stirring something new. People are coming to Him looking for something authentic. People are coming back to Him because the world is just not delivering on the promises that it makes. It's creating quite a stir, especially with the younger generation, but I think actually it's for all generations. I focused a lot about discipleship for young adults back in May. Since then, I think God's actually saying, no, it's for all of us. Discipleship is for all of us. And often, revivals will come where this tension is going on, where we see a broken world and people realize that there's got to be something more. It starts where the world feels most fractured and broken. Martin Luther said this: God creates out of nothing. Therefore, until man is nothing, God can make nothing out of him. Sometimes we need to realize that we can't fix it all. And actually, we have a God that we can depend on. It's then we realize we can't sustain ourselves, and there's often a move of God that sweeps in. We explored in our men's discipleship this week. We looked at despair. And the message there was despair is misplaced hope. It's hope in the wrong things. And those things are particularly going on at the moment, aren't they? Politics, economy, technology, relationships, ongoing conflicts, the list goes on and on and on. We see that people are putting their hope in the wrong things. We're still feeling the cost of living rise after COVID. Staggering numbers I read this week. One was that groceries have gone up 38% since 2021. Energy has gone up over 50% in the same time period. Some guys from the Restore team were saying actually they see that in the projects, the need that's arisen for people because it's hard. Cost of living is difficult. And we also see that as a church. Building costs are rising, adjusting for staff costs in line with the cost of living, and things have generally gone up. And our giving hasn't gone up at the same rate. And there's a tension. But we're also seeing a momentum within the church. We've seen really encouraging momentum in the last few weeks. And we'll explore more of that. But our circles have grown. Some are ready to multiply. Our compassion has deepened, not only through the opportunities at Restore, befriending those who need it the most. We've seen our bereavement journey mature over the last few months, that we can offer that externally. We've seen that compassion is actually part of our DNA. It's part of everything we do as we wake up in the morning, as we talk to our neighbour, as we walk past somebody in the street. We've kicked off our discipleship stream. We had almost 70 adults in week 1 and week 2. And they've been a really great time to relationally work through some things together. And on top of this all, the church turns 20 next month. No whoops. Shall I say it again? The church turns 20 next month. And actually, we were talking about it in the team, and there's that sense of actually that there's a maturity thing with that as well. You know, as we grow old, we go through new seasons of growth. And actually, it's a number, it's a marker. But it's for us to think about, well, what have we learned, and what does new stages and seasons look like? And through all of this, as a church, our DNA remains the same. Joining God in the transformation of ourselves, our community, of Northampton and beyond. And for some, a lot of what you hear today, you may have heard a similar thing before, especially if you've been around for a few years and seen the growth of the church. Some things I'll talk about have been tried in the past and brought growth. Some things I'll talk about today we've tried in the past, and actually they were really difficult, and we learn from. And I believe we should keep the mindset of faith and learning as we go into this next season. Sometimes it's about taking risks and testing them, seeing what God has. Sometimes it's really knowing the call of God and going in, taking risks with energy and with enthusiasm because we know God's in it. But ultimately, all of this is discerning God's wisdom, God's voice, how he's leading us forward in these things. Our DNA remains the same as a church, and that's why these things can sound familiar. We're all about transformation. We're all about growth, renewal, multiplication of the good things that God's doing. So today, I hope these things will create enthusiasm and energy. They may create a lot of unknown still, which we will work through together. But I'd like to create two things, well, not create two things, nurture two things together this morning as we go forward. First of all, our dependence on God, to hear his voice, to become closer to him in our walk with him. And secondly, more conversation with each other around what these opportunities are, what our concerns are around this. So our focus in our vision this year was based on 1 Corinthians 3. What, after all, is Apollos, and what is Paul? Only servants through whom you came to believe, as the Lord has assigned to each his task. Paul says, I planted the seed, Apollos watered it, but God has been making it grow. So neither the one who plants nor the one who waters is anything, but only God who makes things grow. The one who plants and the one who waters have one purpose, and they will each be rewarded according to their own labor. For we are co-workers in God's service. You are God's field, God's building. Paul planted the seed, Apollos watered it, but God has been making it grow. We do our part. We jump into the things that we believe God is leading us to, but it's always about where God is leading us, because he is the one that makes things grow. You may have thought the last couple of years the vision has been fairly vague. It's been intentionally that way because we've been waiting on God's voice to lead us into those specific things of what to do next. And in that time, I believe God has been growing those healthy roots into the ground. I look back on what our vision was back in 2022, and we had 3 pillars: intentional community, counter formation, and kingdom mission. It was 3 ways that we believed we could join God in the renewal of all things, build transformational community that follows Jesus. And actually those 3 words, or how I interpreted 3 of the 4 words that were given earlier, actually maps onto these things in different ways. The intentional community, nurturing our relationships and healthy community. Pete was speaking about how we hold each other's hands up when they need to be held. That's what intentional community is all about. We want to follow God. We want to join him in the things he has with us. And sometimes they feel heavy, especially when we're in the battle. How do we hold each other's arms up? Counter formation, growing as disciples. We're not a social club. We nurture our relationships, but we're a community of people yearning to be more like Jesus. What Amy said earlier, well, when we're on our own, when it's just us and God, that's what counter formation is. What is our own relationship? What is our own walk with Jesus? And kingdom mission. When we're built up, God stirs a love and compassion in us to go and serve the people around us, those on our doorstep, those in our town, and those to the ends of the earth. When I heard what Moira was saying earlier about jumping on the boat, These things feel impossible sometimes, don't they? But God makes a way. He goes with us when we move. He's not sending us out on our own, say, now this is what you need to go and do. That's not what he does. He goes with us, and he makes the way with us. And that's what kingdom mission is, as he stirs new things, new opportunities for his kingdom to grow. So what does healthy growth look like? I think we've got a slide. It's about maintaining a growth of healthy roots. It's not maintaining the roots, it's maintaining growth. How do we keep in that nutritious soil that the Holy Spirit brings? How do we maintain the healthy growth of our own relationship with God and our relationship with each other? And how does that help us to then steward a new season of growth? Those strong roots help us to go into the new season. The soil is good, it's nutritious. And as we grow those roots, or as God grows those roots, it will lead us into a new season of growth. The harvest is plenty and the field is ripe. Some healthy examples of those roots that came to my mind, you may have others within those three areas. So intentional community, our circles have grown, our men's, women's, young adults, and our spaces have grown. Our prayer spaces have built rhythm with those who have been really faithful in praying through the seasons before. We're nurturing that rhythm. We're getting into a rhythm of how we connect together. Counter formation. We've pressed into what it means to follow Jesus in the storms and in the summer seasons. I believe God has built the foundations of what it looks like to walk together in that. We've launched our discipleship streams, Alpha and Bereavement Journey, our men's and women's discipleship streams. This is all about walking towards Jesus in each of our individual places. We're going to be talking about how we nurture those smaller groups together. We've been practicing it in the men's and women's groups of 3 or 4. We've relaunched huddles as 3P groups. And the idea here is that we're building this solid, intentional relationships together. And consistency and rhythm. I think consistency is important because we build our rhythm within that. It means we can invite people into the spaces knowing what they look like, but leaving the space for God to do his thing in us. Kingdom mission, as I said before, we've matured our understanding of compassion, our opportunities with Restore projects, how to befriend people in a loving way like Jesus did. We've seen opportunities for growing that both within Restore, but also other ways in our evangelism, in our loving our neighbour. And we've been challenged to think of what it means to the ends of the earth as well, nurturing our relationships both in Ukraine and early days with partnership with Uganda. So what does this new season look like? Matthew 9 says, "The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into his harvest field." The prayer space was a real time this morning where actually God was nurturing what this means for us. What does the field look like? Well, actually, there's space in the field. Sometimes we need to clear space for growth. And there's 2 things. There's the harvest, making room to collect the harvest in. And there's the workers, healthy multiplication. It doesn't sit on a few people, it sits with all of us. So I'm going to go through what the vision for the next 3 years could look like for us. There's 3 steps in it. And the first step is probably the most where it feels like the plans could be coming together. There's still stuff to do. I would just stay on the last one, please, John. The second step and third step are more, these are the things that God's maybe prompted. They may not look like this, but actually, how do we start a conversation? So how do we approach these things with dependence on God, making sure we're following him, we're learning on what's going on, but a conversation with each other as well. Some of this conversation may mean, I don't feel ready for this. Some of the conversation is, well, actually, yes, and have we considered all these other areas as well? So how do we nurture those conversations? Sharing our passions, desires, concerns, apprehensions, and walking it through together. So, step 1. Our first focus is in growing east. In that sense of the harvest is plentiful, but the labourers are few, we have space in the east already. We have ground in the east that's ready for growth. So, and one thing that we want to nurture is that we are one church. We aren't 2 churches that are operating independently. We're one church, and we all play a part in how to facilitate organic growth. So we start with the capacity that's already there in Central Vineyard East. We have space in the east, and the ground is there to nurture organic growth. There may be, for some of us here, it may be that you go and serve for a Sunday or 2 Sundays in East. For others here, you may be prompted to go and join what's going on over in East. Deborah's going to explain what the opportunities are a bit later. Secondly, and this is where the plans are not there, it's just possibly the ideas that God's prompting. Step 2 is making room. We have the space over in East at the moment. We're running out of space here in town. And step 2, I believe, is how we create space here. And to be honest, in the next few months, I think number 1 priority is pray. What does that space look like? It could be downstairs in a bigger room. It could be anything else. We need to discern from God what it means to create capacity in town. We also need to focus on growing our ministry teams as we prepare for that growth. Multiplication isn't only space, it's the labourers, it's the workers. It's how do we multiply our ministry areas to serve new people as they come in. And one of the indicators of whether we're ready to grow, I think, is that our ministry teams will be bulging. We'll have too many people serving and not enough opportunity to do that. For me, that will be an indicator of, yes, we're ready to welcome more people through our doors. Step 3, serving our communities. So this is 2 or 3 years out. But as we nurture these things around the town and around the county, could this be prompting actually intentional, locational community in and around Northampton, Northamptonshire? They could start with, we have circles at the moment, they're not location-based. We've nurtured diversity, we've nurtured unity within them. Satellite circles would be a bit different. We wouldn't repurpose the circles we've got. It would come out of multiplication. It would come out of new circles. But maybe like-minded people in a certain area who want to serve the community around them, show compassion, introduce Jesus to those in that certain area. Again, it's creating room. We start with room in the east. We make room in town. The next step is to look for the room that God is nudging us. And we would probably start with a small group there. We would keep our existing circles, by the way. We're not going to force fit these into satellite circles, but it's groups of like-minded people building community and then showing that love of Jesus around them. So again, those last couple of points, there's lots of things to work through. The focus to begin with is growing east. So how can we each play our part? First, as I said, pray. If we believe God is stirring something new, we need to learn to hear his voice. We need to lean in to hear his voice with everything. That's where it always should start. What is God leading us into? As I said before, he doesn't give us the calling and push us out the front door. He comes with us. We need to be in touch with what he's doing, where he's leading us. It's him who strengthens and sustains. We should serve out of the inner strength and joy that the Holy Spirit gives us. This is not a let's all burn out, let's all crack on and get digging in the field. He'll give us all we need. He'll provide all we need. Let's continue to pray for consistency in our expression as that grows, so that people feel safe entering into it. We all know what it looks like. Let's continue to pray for sustenance and growth of our roots as we seek these things out. I don't think it's a coincidence that our 21 days of prayer and fasting ended today with 2026. I think it's an acknowledgement that God is with us. God is with us on this journey. Secondly, serve. In a season of growth, we should continue to serve out of an inner joy, not because we have to, but because he's prompting us into it. It may mean we say no to some things. Maybe our no gives opportunity for others. Sometimes we don't feel equipped to serve. Actually, that's when God equips us, because we know it's him. We're dependent on him. Deborah is going to say a bit about East.
Thanks, Dan. Morning, I'm Deborah. If you don't know me, I'm usually in the East on a Sunday, sometimes here on a Friday, once a month. Can I have that slide back, please, John? Thank you. I'm going to start with a very short story about Mike and Liz Sturgis, and I did ask them if I could share this story. In the summer, Mike and Liz and I met, and Mike offered to lead us in live worship one Sunday a month in the East. And to say I pulled his arm off might be an understatement. It really mattered that we had a sensible conversation about that call to serve in live worship, because we didn't want serving in the East to be a source of pressure or stress, and it really mattered that we got the timing right for Mike and Liz, for our church family here in town, and our church family in the East. Since Mike and Liz have been joining us in the East, they have been a huge blessing to us, as I'm sure they're a blessing here in town. And as we've prayed through the autumn, and one final point on that, I would love Mike and Liz to share their story of how God has spoken to them about the East of Northampton in a story slot here and also in the East in the coming weeks, because I think it's a longer story than I can do justice to this morning. As we've prayed through the autumn months about what God is saying to us in the East, we really feel that God has shown us a pattern for potential serving in how Mike and Liz have stepped into God's invitation in the East. And so we currently have no children's provision, and we currently have worship one Sunday a month. And we actually feel that God is saying, are you invited to come and serve us maybe 1 week a month? Maybe not to make a wholesale move to us in the East just yet, because we recognise the connections here are really strong. We don't want you to come if you're already serving and feeling on the edge of, actually, you're at capacity. As Dan said, your no might be somebody else's yes. God could be raising up people right now who are thinking, do you know what, I've just felt like God is calling me, and I don't know what that looks like, and I don't know where. So we want to invite you to pray. Is God speaking to you to come and see us 1 or 2 weeks a month in the East, to join us? And it's the same for worship. We would love to encourage people who may be serving in worship, who may be feeling like, do you know what, I've got a call to step further into my worship serving gift. We'd love to pray with you. We'd love to chat with you in the coming weeks and months about, are you called to come and join Mike on a... He does an amazing job, by the way. But are you called to come and join Mike 1 Sunday a month? Or are you called to come and have a go leading in a safe place, in a family that would love to have you, and where you can just test out your serving and your gift? So at the moment, we would love to start once a month with our children's ministry for primary school age children. We're not looking to do the whole kit and caboodle just yet, and that's just 1 week a month. And then we'll see what God does with that. And as with the worship, we'd love to just have that conversation and pray with you about, are you called to join Mike, or are you called to just bring your instrument and your voice and see where God takes us? But we do have faith for growth in the East, and we feel that now is the time. Is that all right, Dan? Yeah, awesome. Do you need me to say anything else?
Great. So think about that. As one church, one of the things we're looking at is, or initiating, is how we equip and release people in that, how we nurture our gifts and our confidence within that. And also how we have a culture of healthy church growth within it as we keep those roots. Kate's going to say, I can't see anyone at the minute. Maybe, Kate, come.
Thanks, Dan. Okay, so here in town, we just wanted to update you on what's happening across our children's and youth ministries. So I've got a few notes because I want to stay on task. Okay, so at the moment, you'll know, because this is week 4, we haven't got our children's group running downstairs on a week 4. This has basically been because we haven't had enough team to safely run our week 4. And as I am the safeguarding lead, that's really important. But we wanted to sort of give you a bit of context and a little bit of honesty as well about sort of where we are at the moment. So many of you, if you, like Dan mentioned, some people here have been here for a very long time, and some people have joined us more recently. And so actually history is a little bit important as well. So lots of you here will remember that we had a bigger team than myself running children's and youth ministry. We had Charlie, who oversaw our youth, and Sarah, who oversaw our children's ministry. And my role was to oversee everything, input into everything, and to look after safeguarding in the church. Charlie and Sarah have moved on to new pastures, which is lovely, and the timing for them was right. And actually that saw us in a new season. And actually I was reading the book of Daniel at the time, feeling quite bereft because we worked really well as a team. But I was quite bereft because I was losing these key people. And in the book of Daniel, King Nebuchadnezzar had a dream about a tree, and he was the tree. And Daniel interpreted the dream and said that he was basically going to be chopped down. And that was his kingdom being chopped down. And I felt a bit like that. But then things got a little bit worse. And 18 months ago, I also had a stroke. And so that left me in a position of basically dealing with chronic illness, which I'm continuing to do now. And so what I wanted to let you all know is that after a lot of consideration and praying, I've been working out with Dan and Vicky. I'm actually reducing my hours, or I have reduced my hours. So my main focus now will be to be looking after less in the church, which my main focus is going to be looking after safeguarding and also the youth ministry. So this is a time, and it's very fitting that we're talking about vision, to sort of let you know where we're at, but also to let you know that it's a time we really would want to encourage our church family to step in and become the village that helps to raise our children in the church. We have got wonderful leaders. We've had wonderful leaders in the past, and we've also got wonderful leaders now. So I want to thank our past leaders in children's ministry. You know who you are. And also, I just want to recognise Liz and Becca, because they are currently leading weeks in children's ministry, along with myself, to make our 3 weeks happen. And I just want to thank them for all that they do, because looking ahead, we're looking for our leaders to have more ownership over their week, so to be planning what their weeks look like, keeping some key principles in place. A bit like Paul, we've planted the seeds. All our leaders will be our Apollos. Is that how you say his name? And God will grow the things that we know that he wants to grow in our church community. We've seen this happen in youth in the past year. As I've been quite stripped back, our youth team has grown, and actually our youth team is flourishing, and we're very, very grateful for all of the work that our youth helpers give, because it's invaluable. And we feel like we're in a really good, strong place there. And this is what we want to happen now in our children's ministry. We're looking for that growth to come. That dream happens that the kingdom grows bigger again, and it grows bigger and better. So I believe that that is a promise from God that he gave me in some of my hardest times. So I'm holding on to that. I just want you to know that safeguarding is of top priority. So anything safeguarding with children will still come via me or the safeguarding team. So that's not something that I am sort of reducing my sort of time on. And today, at the end of the service, we're going to invite people to come downstairs for cronuts, and that's where they're going to be. So you have to come and chase us to find them. We want you to see our children's space. Becca has beautifully set it up this morning with the help of Toby. Thank you, Toby. And Esme. So we've set it up so you can see what it looks like. Myself and Becca and Liz are going to be downstairs along with Vicky and Deborah, so that you can have a chat with us. But we also, like Dan said, we want to pray, and actually we just want to pray over that space. So if God knows what we need, he knows our little people need looking after, and he knows that we'd love to be able to put our children's ministry back on for our 4th week. So come and pray with us.
Thanks, Kate. And as I said before, we believe God is building on what's come before. And it's good to recognise just what God has done before. Kate and Charlie and Sarah and all those that have led downstairs. And I believe God's creating this space at the moment for this new season of growth. As Kate said, we've seen that in our youth, we've seen that in our young adults, and we will see it in our kids as well. And in all of these things, we've just followed his voice. But we feel the tensions in it as well. One of the other tensions is also financial giving. So the other thing you can do is give. As I said in our video message, we shared that we'd love to be in a position in May where we could raise £30,000 annually for the ongoing work, God's work in this church. Lost my notes. Where are they? Here we go. We need to keep pace with the growing costs. We want to take opportunity. Our church finances are not like they were pre-COVID. We're in a different world. in a world where actually I think it enables us as a whole to be serving and giving and bringing into this. It doesn't rely on a small team, but actually for growth, we all need to play a part, even if that part is small. So what we'd like you to consider, and thank you for those who have already responded to this. Thank you also to those who have been faithfully giving throughout the years. We'd like you to consider, if you're not giving, whether you can start giving a small amount, whatever you think is right, generously, sacrificially, and with your own relationship with God. I mean, this number can represent 25 people giving £100 a month, 10 people giving £250 a month, 5 people giving an additional £500 a month. Maybe you've not reviewed your finances for a long time, and this is a chance to also give a little bit more as you feel led to. So, as I said before, 2 things. We keep our dependence on God. Number 1. Secondly, we continue or start a new conversation about what this could look like for us. So last slide. You could read this slide just as cronuts if you want. Go and get some cronuts downstairs. If you go downstairs, you're not committing. We haven't got a camera there that says, well, you've now come and got a cronut, now you're committed. That's not it. It's to create a conversation. What helps conversation? Cronuts. That's it. So please go down. If you're an interceder, go down and pray in that space with a cronut in your hand. It does work. Or if you're just like everyone talks about downstairs, I've never gone. Go and have a look. So please don't feel pressure with it, but please go and chat. It's not only for kids as well. We're also looking at worship. So Vicky and Deborah will be down there, as well as Kate, Liz and Becca. Right, that's a lot of information. Let's stand.